Hello and welcome to Unity of Las Vegas. My name is Jim Lee and I'm the spiritual leader here, and I'm so glad that you have joined us. And I just want you to know something. You are here by divine right and by divine appointment because this is something special. I'm so glad you're joining us on this day. We have a very special guest. Her name is Jillian Austin. And the title of her talk, which I really like, is The Lies We've Been Told. And boy, have there been a lot of them. And I just want you to know that Jillian is no stranger to this ministry. Matter of fact, she is a bona fide certified member and does lots of things around this ministry and been doing them for years. But also, I know Jillian prior to coming to Unity of Las Vegas, back in the Detroit area, when she was just a wee pup in the youth ministry. Now she's all grown up, potent and powerful. And there's another side of Jillian that she's going to express today, and that is she's a very professional person. In fact, professionally, Jillian is a conscious, creative, and an intuitive life coach. She's going to go through that and give you an example exactly what that is. So today is a special day as she is bringing in some interesting new insights to a very spiritual message. Also, Jillian is an artist, singer, performer. She's been in the entertainment industry for years. The other thing which you don't know is she's coming from behind the scenes, as she's been the producer for the past few months of our Sunday experience. So she's coming from behind the camera to be in front of the camera today. Same thing. We have another special guest that will be doing our meditation. He is our sign man, Ziggy Zuniga, and he is from the Philippines, and also he's been in Vegas for about 8 years, but currently he is our sound person and does a lot of creative things. He's an entertainer, guitarist. I would call him an all-around person because he does a lot of wonderful things. Well, today he's going deep into his esoteric heart and bringing us a wonderful meditation. So as we begin this day with the entitled The Lies We've Been Told with Jillian, we have this opportunity to wake up. So the meditation and everything and the prayer that we'll be doing and everything is designed to wake us up. And including him, inviting you to join us after the service today for our fellowship time. So as we begin all of this, let's take a moment, get centered, open with a prayer. Infinite Spirit that goes by many names, we are now open and receptive to something wonderful happening for us today. As we're anchoring in on a fundamental truth of who we really are, magnificent being, created in image and in your likeness, we're going now to the truth, and we're inviting you to work in our minds and hearts, and so that we can experience everything that Jillian has for us. We're inviting you to be in our minds and hearts, but open up our ears so that we can hear as you're opening up Jillian's heart so she can say exactly what we need to hear. It is now, in this moment, the perfect time, the perfect place to be transformed at depth. Thank you, God, for a miracle that is happening in our lives right now. Amen.
Lately I've been glaring in the mirrors, picking myself apart. You think at my age I'd think of something better to do. then make insecurity into a full-time job, make security into an art. And I fear my life will be over, and I'll have never lived unfettered, always glaring in the mirrors, and it don't look better. Tiny baby, and they say they look just like me, and they're smiling at me with a present infant glee. Yes, and I would defend to the ends of the earth the perfect right to be. So I begin to see some problems with the ongoing work in my mind, and I've got myself a new mantra. It says, don't forget to have a good time. Don't let the sellers of stuff power enough to rob you of your grace. Love is all over this place. There's nothing wrong with your face. Love is all over this place. There's nothing wrong with this space.
Thank you. First, I want to say thank you to Unity of Las Vegas for having me here as their guest speaker today. I've called this spiritual community my home for over 13 years, and it's an honor to be able to speak with you today. Some of you may have seen me give my gift of voice and song, and this is a new way I'm presenting my gifts today. So, who am I? To those who don't know me, I'm Jillian Austin, and I'm a conscious creative and an intuitive life coach. I wear many hats in life, and answering the question, what do you do, has always been a loaded question for me. I mean, I do many things, but ultimately when people ask, what do you do? They want to know, how are you relevant to my life experience? What can you do for me today? Who are you? Conscious creative and intuitive life coach. What does that even mean? Let's break it down. So conscious creative. As a conscious creative, I develop and encourage purpose-driven creation. I believe that at the heart of creativity lies purpose and truth that is undeniable and authentic. Through expressing this creativity of truth, I believe that we can bring positive changes to the world. Intuitive life coach. The term intuitive life coach may seem a little woo-woo, but don't worry. We'll dig a bit into what I mean by intuition later. As an intuitive life coach, I help people recognize the patterns in their life so they are empowered to rewrite their narrative to live the life of their dreams. My intention is that we do that together, right now, today. So how do you feel when I say the lies we've been told? What comes up for you? If you're anything like the clients I've asked that to, then a lot comes up for you. Especially today in our current world. Everything from the media, society, family, religion, career, politics, conspiracies. We get a flood of things come up with this idea of the lies we've been told. I think the best way to think about lies we've been told are in two ways. Macro lies and micro lies. Macro lies are bigger than me and you. They are collective and expansive, vast and ever-reaching, conspiracies even. I'm going to talk to you about one that has been ever-present our entire lives, no matter how old you are. Macro lie we're going to talk about? Santa Claus. Maybe you laughed a bit at the mention of Santa, but it's a far-reaching lie that has been around for hundreds of years, crosses cultural barriers, and as children, we are told this lie, and when we grow up, we are expected to perpetrate it. in order not to kill the magic or destroy the joy. Do you remember when you found out Santa wasn't real? How did that feel? How did your parents react? I remember my mom congratulated me for figuring it out. We had a joyful talk about it, and at that moment, I agreed to this social contract lie. I carried on. I live as if. Then I began the practice of not believing the lie, but still living it as truth. Did you do that? If Santa was part of your family life and culture, did you continue to put out milk and cookies even though you knew he wasn't real? Did you still keep up the traditions even when the reasons for those traditions were gone? So why talk about Santa? Okay, there's a paradox that we have to be somewhat comfortable with in order to progress here. So it's the paradox that we can know something isn't real and still operate our life as if it were true. We can knowingly live lies as if they're universal truth. However, at the center of the macro lie of Santa, and every macro lie, is a truth. There really was a man that Santa Claus was based on, St. Nicholas, who was revered as being a gift bringer and patron saint of children. It sort of evolved from the Middle Ages into what we know of Santa today. My mom didn't pass on Santa because of that guy, though. It was the idea of giving to others. The universal truth which makes this great is that you're putting others before yourself, goodwill to all men. The core truth here is someone did something nice for another person, so we will continue to do this today. We keep living in this pattern because we find value in it. You will stop living in a pattern once you realize it no longer serves you. There are other lies we can talk about at that level. Macro lies. Time, the calendar, dates. Another macro lie that is at the forefront of our human experience right now is race. Race as a macro lie. Ultimately, we are only one race, the human race. The rest of it we sort of just made up. The rest of it is a social contract lie. In many ways, just like Santa, that we continue to perpetuate. That lie, let's name it. Race. A category of humankind that shares certain distinctive physical traits. That's it. The rest of it, we sort of put on top of it. We decided what those categories meant. Who was better or worse, less or more. Those are all things that we kind of made up. But the central core idea of what race is, the definition, that's it. So just think about that. Now let's talk about micro lies. Familial lies, I like to call them. So where do we start? I am a bit of a hoarder, okay? And a lot of people say it runs in the family because I can track it back through my whole family. You know, I have more stuff than I need. And at the core of that undesirable behavior is a lot of times where you can find familial lies. They're things that are running in the family, things that you just kind of inherit. All familial lies are based on trauma or survival. So when I was trying to unpack my hoarding tendencies, I looked at that and I thought to myself, okay, why? Where did the trauma come from? Where is the survival aspect? I think back in my history, my grandmother was born right around the Depression. They didn't have a lot of things. So I can see how growing up in America and not having a lot, when you do get something, it's so very important. Especially when you're operating in poverty and lack. So you have to hold on to that. And then when you're at that point where you could give something away, you think, well, I could, but I don't want to because what if I need it? And that's the central lie. The central lie there is, what if I need it and I can't get it? So you're operating out of this idea of lack. And so as I said, all familial lies are based in either trauma or survival. And the truth is, that is what your ancestors needed to survive. So you can take yourself off the hook. If you're a hoarder, it's okay. You can work on it. But what is that work? Well, I like to call that ancestral work. So if you can identify a lie, something you hear in your head, you know, maybe the man is the head of the household, or children should be seen and not heard, or if you work hard, you'll make a lot of money. Those are the things that kind of got passed along, right? You can track it back to its origin. Maybe it was your mom or your grandma or your grandfather. And once we get that down, we can figure out where it falls in the hierarchy of needs. So when you're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the way you read the pyramid is from the bottom up, right? So there's physiological needs, and those are things like air, water, food, shelter. Then there's safety needs, which is more about personal security and resources. Then you're moving into love and belonging, which is intimacy and friendships. Then esteem, which is respect and self-esteem. And then self-actualization, which is what we talk about a lot, right? But when you're dealing with a lie that's based near the bottom of the pyramid, like let's take my hoarding lie, that's based as a safety lie, then you're sort of stuck there, and your ancestral work is to work on what your parents and your lineage got stuck at and also move to that next level of the pyramid. So yeah, I've got to deal with this safety need, but then my next work is to really solidify love and belonging. So wherever that lie comes from, that's where your parents have left off. That's what they left you with. So anything beyond that in the pyramid is your ancestral work to do. So the last one, the lies we've told ourselves. There are conditions to loving ourselves. We are not worthy. However, that's not true. That's a lie. So let me take a moment to define unconditional love in a new way. So imagine you have a cup, a vessel, if you will, and it's empty, and that vessel is you. And love goes in there. A lot of people think unconditional love comes from other people, right? Like you go out here, you get it, you get it, you get it. But what if it was on you? What if you were the source of your love and you filled your cup with so much love that it was overflowing to the point that you would give it away freely without any conditions? That is the definition of unconditional love. Self-love that overflows with abundance so much that you can only give it to other people. And that's what we have to do with ourselves. We have to love ourselves first before we can help others. So, how do we tell a lie from universal truth? How do we get in there and know something's a lie? Because a lot of times, especially working with my clients, you find that a micro lie feels like a macro lie when you're living it. Some of this seems impossible to fix. Answer: intuition. Let's unpack the word intuition. I may do that with you today, dive deep into words and define them. You know, words have power and a lot of baggage sometimes. And I think it's important that we are on the same page. So I'll offer options of definitions as a way to possibly unlock further insight with you. Sound good? Great. All right, so dictionary.com defines intuition as the direct perception of truth or facts independent of any reasoning process. Immediate understanding. So basically, we have something built into our subconscious that allows us to just perceive truth independent of reasoning. We can just get truth like an automatic download. What? I don't know. Maybe we don't all have it, you know? That sweet, sweet intuition. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows? I don't know. But honestly, we can hear that and think, man, I wish I was born with that. Life would be so much easier if I just knew things. Don't worry. You have intuition. We all do. Maybe we just haven't been given permission to develop it. Now, that definition of intuition sounds pretty darn magical, doesn't it? Not that I'm not open and receptive to magic in our everyday lives, because I totally am. I want to offer a far less esoteric definition as an alternative. For the purposes of what we are doing today, let's define intuition as advanced pattern recognition. How does that vibe with you? I sort of like that definition myself. It is something I can wrap my mind around. Makes sense. Intuition can be developed if that's true. And if we're talking about it as advanced pattern recognition, you know what that means? That means we can actually develop our intuition. We can do that in a myriad of ways. One being through practice. So I'm going to give you 3 things you can do to help develop your intuition. Let's create a ritual of everydays. 1. Meditate 5 minutes. Creating just 5 minutes a day to connect with our higher self, it helps. You know, the more we do it consistently, the more insight we gain. And insight is gained through practice. Just like doing a martial art or going to work out. Our intuition is very much like the muscles in our body. You kind of have to keep doing that repetition to see results. And through that practice, you gain insight. 2, affirmations. Affirmations and affirmative prayer. We have to literally rewrite these lies we've uncovered. Taking things like I am, followed by a positive statement that is the opposite of the lie and represents universal truth. You're not good enough. I am good enough. You're worthy of love only if you're productive. I'm worthy of love just the way I am. See what I did there? So you gotta do that. 3, ask empowering questions. I got this concept from Dr. Michael Beckwith. An empowering question is a thought-provoking, open-ended, challenging question that allows us to look for answers and new opportunities. Tony Robbins has once said, the quality of your life is a direct reflection of the quality of the questions you are asking yourself. I mean, too often, right? We get bogged down in life with these disempowering questions. Things like, why me? What's wrong with me? Why am I still single? Why don't I get to be happy? Why can't I find love? Instead, let's ask empowering questions. What gift am I to give to the world? What is my next step? What is the nature of love? How can I love myself more today? And once you ask those questions, you can be open and receptive to answers. Sounds pretty darn magical, but these things will be revealed to you because you open yourself up to the answers. Daily, my ritual is to meditate, write an affirmation 10 times, and journal on an empowering question. Why do I do it every day? Every day get us out of our lack consciousness. And as I've said, we gain insight through the practice. In James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he tells the story of a photography class at the University of Florida. The professor split them up in teams with 2 different philosophies. One was graded on the quantity of the photos. They had to take 100 photos for the semester to get an A. The other was graded on the quality of the photos. They had to produce 1 photo that had to be nearly perfect in order to get an A. Which group do you think took the best photos at the end of the semester? If you said the quantity group, you're right. They focus more on doing the work and learn and gain insight through practice. The quality group was so focused on perfection, they didn't get much out of it but some mediocre photos and perhaps a complex. Again, just doing something with the intention of improving on a consistent basis is better than obsessing over finding and doing the right thing, and as a result, doing nothing. So, let's do something now. I invite you to join us in meditation with the intention of improving your life. Take into this meditation the idea that doing something is better than nothing, and just by virtue of being present in your current life experience, maybe this is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. A.H. Almas tells us that at its most fundamental level, trust is innate, preconceptual, and unconditional, which is interesting given that many people have a very conditional relationship with trusting God. I will trust God only if things show up a certain way for me. If no one I love dies, if I never lose my job, if I never get sick. We bargain with God and hope that God will grant our wishes, like a genie, missing the deeper realizations that lead to profound transformation and unimagined manifestations of love. But trust is innate, preconceptual, and unconditional. It is woven into the fabric of our being. Even if we think we need to find ways to be more trusting in these times, we are basking in it as a fish swims in water. Eating breakfast this morning, we trusted the mechanics of the chewing process to ingest the food into our bodies, and we trusted our digestive system to support the appropriate assimilation. When we walk across the floor, we trust our bodies to hold us up and the floor to support us. The list goes on. So we find that at this level, What is needed is not more trust, but to tap into the trust that is already there and to gain a deeper realization of the nature of trust we are swimming in. Almas tells us that if we could actually see the substance of human consciousness, it would look like living daylight. The Newtonian scientific worldview has brought the concept that the universe is fundamentally physical, but through this living daylight, we see that the universe is animate and awake, pervaded by an intelligent consciousness. It is a universe that is made up of benevolence and therefore is something you can trust. Living daylight is the holding for the soul as it moves from an individual identity to identifying as a whole for the cosmos. Any challenges or areas of your life where you may feel a lack of trust can become invitations or portals to connect with this living daylight more deeply. Now, let's take this into meditation. Begin with the breath, breathing in goodness, truth, and beauty, and breathing out what is no longer in service to you. Now imagine a beautiful golden ball of light. It is concentrated just above your head, but also radiating out in connection with everything in the universe. From here, you can already sense its warmth and glow. On your next in-breath, breathe this golden light energy into the top of your head and into your skull, brain, seeing all parts of your face now embraced with this living, tender, and loving presence. Through the mind, living daylight is experienced as light consciousness. Allow this light consciousness to interpenetrate the more subtle areas of your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. Notice a softening here, a relaxing, a falling away of old and outdated ways of thinking and believing, and a quieting of the mind and emotions. On your next in-breath, breathe this golden light energy into your heart and feel your heart radiating in its warmth and glow. Through the heart, living daylight is experienced as universal, boundless love. Sense this love healing anything needing to be healed there, caressing and enfolding it. Sense into the peace that comes in this soft, warm presence. Now, notice your heart expanding and growing inside of this love, saying to the world, there's room for me in you. On your next in-breath, breathe this golden light into your belly. Through the belly, living daylight is experienced as a deep knowing in the gut that you are held, contained, and enfolded by a loving presence, and that this presence is what really exists in the world. Sense this golden light infusing and strengthening this inner knowing that even if you fall, you will be held. If you let go, things will be okay. If you let yourself not know, you will be guided. If you do not manipulate, you will be taken care of in a way that is appropriate for you. As you continue to breathe inside of the living daylight, you are relaxed and all of your energies are flowing. You are very creative. You are courageous. You initiate right action and you live fully as the magnificent being you are designed to be. Namaste.
Wow, thank you, Jillian. That was good. Hopefully you took some notes, because I did. I just want you to know the lies that we've been told, she just cleared all of that up. Now we can go get our lives straight. And Ziggy, didn't know it was in you. You're good. And I'm also Michelle. So we had a great day today, and I just want to thank you for joining us. And I invite you, if you're so moved and touched, to to just include us in an offering. You can text us. You go to our website. We just have different ways in which you contribute. Also, I just want you to know that we are open and receptive to prayer requests, and just send them in. And also, I can do counseling if some issues and things come up for you. I just want you to know I'm here for you, and this ministry is here for you. So now we're going to close out with our closing prayer. It's called the prayer for protection. We want to say it for ourselves, for our families, friends. Also, Lord knows our entire planet needs it. So let's say the prayer together. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love of God. The power of God protects us. We are the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. We are the presence of God. Wherever we are, wherever we may go, just remember, God is there and all is well. God bless you.
Look like he